Momofuku pork buns. We're making them today in this video. Let's go. What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. In this series, we have been making Michelin-starred recipes, but we're making them in the home kitchen, showing you how you can translate some of these really fantastic recipes into your home kitchen. Momofuku, not only is it a really fun word to say, but they have some fantastic food. David Chang is the head chef. He's been creating really delicious, I guess, Korean-inspired food. He's a Korean American, and he's really popularized a lot of Asian cuisines. He's really into ramen. The Noodle Bar was one of his first restaurants. All around, they have some really fantastic food. Now, that leads us to what we're gonna create today. When I first got introduced to Momofuku, it was through the pork bun. Now this sort of smallish bite-sized bun filled with pork and pickles, scallions, and just shockingly good. Today, we're going to try and recreate David Chang and Momofuku's famous pork bun. Let's jump in the kitchen and let's get started. So this is a pork belly. This is the same thing that bacon's made of. If you cured this and then cut this into slices, you would basically have bacon. This is gonna taste pretty good, and it is the foundation for our pork buns. The version that I got still has the skin on it, and David Chang in his cookbook recommends that we take off the skin. Save the skin. We can use this in something else. So we are left with our skinless pork belly. And in here, I'm gonna mix equal parts of white sugar and salt. Combine everything. The salt and sugar mixture all over my pork belly. Both sides. After this is completely covered in my salt and sugar mixture, I'm going to wrap this and into the fridge for a minimum of 6 hours, no more than 24. Buns are really important in this dish. And what they are is a steamed bun. So what we need to do is create a dough, and then, well, we're gonna steam it. This dough needs to be soft, it needs to be light, but it needs to be able to hold together to hold our pork belly and the couple of condiments that we're gonna put on it. Let's jump back in the kitchen and let's start making our buns. All right, so I've got the bowl of my stand mixer. I'm gonna start with my yeast. And then I've got a 1.5 cups of water that's at room temperature. Bread flour. White sugar's next. Dried milk powder. Some salt, baking powder, and baking soda. And I have some rendered pork fat, which is pretty easy to find where I live. If you can't get this, vegetable shortening will work as well. Let's go to the mixer. So now on the lowest speed that my mixer will go to, we're gonna run this for about 8 to 10 minutes. Really large bowl. Gonna lightly grease it with some neutral flavored oil. I'm just gonna roll this around a bit so that everything's covered in oil so nothing sticks. Kitchen towel goes on top, set this aside for about 1.5 hours. Okay, so this should have about doubled in size. Let's punch the air out of the dough. So now we need to divide this into individual sizes. I'm gonna cut this in half to start. And then I'm gonna cut into 5 equal size pieces or so. Okay, so I've got 10 pieces. Let's work one at a time. I'm gonna roll this out into a log. Once it's rolled out and about evenly shaped, I'm going to again cut this down into 5 pieces. Each piece will be between 20 and 25 grams. With each of these pieces, I'm just gonna roll them into a ball. Go through your fingers. And there we go, we've got a ball. Set this aside. I'm gonna do the same thing with all of these so that I've got 50 balls. So I've got my dough balls here, and I'm gonna cover these again with the same towel. We're gonna set these aside to rest for another 30 minutes. Our pork has been in the fridge just over 6 hours. The recipe that David Chang put out said it can be in there from anywhere from 6 to 24 hours. We're sort of at the low end of that. You could leave this overnight, but 6 hours, 6.5, I think at this point, and let's carry on with our recipe. So you'll see there might be, or there probably will be, some liquid that has come off of this. That's the salt drawing out liquid or moisture or water, all that stuff that's inside of this pork belly. Dump that down the sink. This is gonna get put in a really hot oven, 450 Fahrenheit, 232, I think, 230-ish Celsius for about an hour. So while I was waiting, I cut some parchment paper into these little squares, or I guess they're actually rectangles. This is gonna hold each of our individual buns. So let's get one of these balls and one of these. Let's create what a bun looks like. So onto my little parchment rectangle, press down lightly. And then with a rolling pin, I'm gonna roll it out the rest of the way, looking for about a 4-inch oval. Take a chopstick that I'd been lightly greased with a bit of neutral flavored oil in the center, and then just fold over the dough onto itself. And then once that's done, just remove the chopstick. Okay, that's going back under the towel. And now I'm just gonna repeat that with all my buns. After about an hour in the oven, we have something that is really nice and golden brown, which is really what we're looking for at this point. This wasn't the fattiest cut. I think when I took off the skin, I probably took off the layer of fat. Yours might be a little bit fattier, and this part will be a little bit easier, but let's give it a try. All right, so the basting isn't really working, but that's not the end of the world because it is a really nice dark color already. Turn down the temperature in my oven to about 250 Fahrenheit, 120 Celsius or so, so really, really low. This is gonna finish cooking in the oven for about another hour. Okay, so our buns, these ones got folded over a little. Let's fix that. So these rested for about another, I guess it was about 40 or 45 minutes. They are ready for the last step, which is to steam them. What I just recently bought is one of these bamboo steamer baskets, which I think is gonna work really, really well. Basically, you've got these 2 layers. There's holes in the bottom, and then so when the water steams out of here, I'm gonna put my buns in here, and they're gonna steam. You could use one of those steamer baskets. This tends to work well because you got a nice flat space, and it looks pretty cool. So my steamer basket goes on top, and then I'm gonna start this boiling. Let's add my buns. I don't wanna add too many. I don't want this to get crowded. 5 on the first layer, this on, the way around. 5 on the second layer, put my lid on, and I'm gonna let this steam for 10 minutes. You can already see these have puffed up really nice. They look really, really delicious. They're really puffy. Let's get this off the stove. Let's check on our pork. So our pork belly is completely done. We have some really fantastic color here, really golden brown. Now we could use this right away. In order to get really nice slices, I need to do an Instagram thumbnail, for instance, we need to have this completely cold, or at least really, really cool, then it'll slice down really, really nicely. Into the fridge to cool down. So while that's cooling down, we have enough time to do our last step, creating a quick pickle. This may be the easiest pickle recipe that I've ever seen. Start off with a cucumber. Three parts of sugar to 1 part of salt, or really to your taste. I'm gonna do a pinch of sugar, or about a tablespoon, and then a small pinch of salt. Toss these around to coat them. And let these sit for 5 or 10 minutes, and they're ready to go. We're almost there. Our finished pork belly has been sitting in the fridge. It's been about an hour or so. It's probably cool enough that we can cut it down into nice strips. Let's get it out of the fridge, and let's finish making our Momofuku pork buns. All we need to do is start cutting some slices. Cut a few of these off. So the pork is obviously cold because we cooled it down, so I'm just going to heat it up very, very quickly over a hot pan. Add our slices of pork belly. Now this should only take a minute or 2 because everything's already cooked, we're just reheating it. Let's plate up our pork buns. So I'm gonna do 2 of my steamed buns. They're warm to the touch. a little bit of hoisin sauce. You can use a spoon if you don't have one of these brushes. Put my pickles on one side, put that on the other. Season with a bit of scallion. Close these up. You're supposed to serve these with sriracha, but I forgot to buy some, so I'm just gonna add some hot sauce. This is a Momofuku style pork bun. Let's give it a try. That's super delicious. The pork is salty. The pickles are a little bit sweet and a little bit salty. The bun is really soft and fluffy. It's no wonder that these are so popular. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button. Really helps out the channel. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. Hope you get a chance to make these Momofuku pork buns. We'll see you next time. These are so good. The buns are so fluffy. I should cook with pork belly more often. So good, so easy to make.